Good morning. Welcome back to the FloTrack podcast. My name is Lincoln Shrike, and he is not Gordon Mack, who is apparently still in a deep slumber, supposed to be awake, but he's not. It's Kevin Soley. Kevin, how you feeling being the replacement podcaster today?
I'm happy to fill in, Lincoln. Don't know where Gordon is. I'm assuming we're going to get an apology text in about 15, 16 minutes. He was texting me yesterday, or texting both of us yesterday, with things that Division I coaches were saying about what I was saying on the podcast. So I was under the impression he was fired up. He was ready to go, and he was in tune with everything, but apparently not. Apparently not.
Yeah, and I just had to send a text to our group chat to say don't log in, because I imagine at like 9:47 he'll wake up yelling curse words and try to hop on. So we need to notify him that you've replaced his presence today. Glad to have you. Not much else going on in the world, it seems like, than this Jimmy Gressier news that we'll get to. Just kidding. We were both up late watching election results. So a lot on our minds separate from running, which is why it feels appropriate to talk about something as preposterous and strange as this Jimmy Gressier news. Apparently, he was the guy who found Taoufik Makhloufi's bag in France. And this case only gets stranger. Now we are relying on French to English translations to try to figure out exactly what happened. But as it stands right now, Jimmy Gressier says he was looking for the new Nike prototypes, and then he found a bag of needles and stuff that is not confirmed doping products, but doesn't look a whole lot good for old Makhloufi. What do you think of this strange turn in this strange case?
It sounds like Mad Libs. And when you told this to me, when I said, "Hey, what are we going to talk about on the show?" Now that I'm filling in for Gordon, you said Jimmy Gressier is rummaging through Makhloufi's bag, and I said, "Say what?" And the more you explained it, the stranger it got. Now, let's back up a little bit, because people may not know about Jimmy Gressier, distance runner from France, famous for his celebrations. He once mimicked race walking at the end of a cross-country race when he was so far ahead. He fell at the line one time. He has done airplane wings. So one of the bigger personalities in the sport. Just want to give some context to why we know him. And he'd be an even bigger name if he was a little bit quicker, just because of the crazy stuff that he does. So let's slow down a little bit. I want to go piece by piece through this.
Yeah.
Because we managed to throw a shoe take in within a PED take. So what was he looking for, and why?
Well, so we have to go back, because I believe well, it doesn't actually say, at least to my knowledge, when he was looking for this, because I feel like when the initial reports came out, it was talking about it being in March. But this article, again, a French to English translation, it says the case begins with a report in stage 2 a few weeks ago. The journalist evokes a seizure in a room of the INSEP at the beginning of September. So again, the translations, it's a little confusing. So I don't know the exact time, but we have Jimmy Gressier, kind of I don't know what the term is, a goofball that he is, doing a little snooping, right? I think he's curious to see what is in Makhloufi's bag. And listen, he can say he was looking for the new prototypes from Nike. That seems a little, I mean, whatever. I guess you have to take him on his word. That seems a little suspicious to me. My estimation is that he saw Taoufik Makhloufi's bag and thought, well, what does it harm? He's not here. I'm going to take a peek at it. And he found, according to this, it says, it shocked me to see so many products. When you look on the internet, you almost have to be dead on a hospital bed to take these. So I'm still confused, because we have these words coming out, and then we get the clarification, if you will, that none of the products in the bag are actually explicitly for doping. So it's a little confusing.
So it
seems like both sides of this are seeing what they want to see. No, they both just train at this French training facility that's INSEP. No, they're not training partners.
Here's my thing. about this. Here's the questions that I have about this. If you're close enough to someone to where you're like, hey, I'm going to go look through their bag. Like if a teammate, when you were in college or high school, Lincoln, was on the
Yeah.
level where they were going to look in your bag, would they be the same person who then, when they found something suspicious in your bag, would turn you in to the authorities? Is that, does
Well,
that
that's the
gel?
thing. I don't think they're teammates. And Makhloufi, I believe, was not there. He had already left, I think, for South Africa, which is where he either
Okay.
is
So,
still, or I think Makhloufi had left behind a bag. And
okay.
if we and so far what we know, let's see what the things that are in the bag. It says there are syringes,
Mm-hmm.
dilutants for injections, and food supplements. I guess it's just all very circumstantial and
Okay.
suspicious. It's not anything. Nothing seems like rock solid at this point, right? I feel like a solid
Okay.
defense case could be built.
Yeah. Nothing about this is rock solid. It's ridiculous. That's why it's worth talking. Okay, so you're painting a different picture than I thought. What I was thinking is he was doing 200-meter reps at one side of the track. Makhloufi was stretching, and he saw his bag, and he's
No.
like, "Yo, are these spikes are sticking out?" It's more of a situation where there's just a bag that's been sitting there for a while. He knows it's Makhloufi's. He knows he has the new prototypes, maybe, and he wants to see them. That's a little bit
Mhm.
more believable to me than the alternative. So the bag just got left. It was sitting there for a while. Maybe it was in his locker. It said Makhloufi on the locker, and he opened it up and looked at it. Still a strange turn of events. He's the one though then that turned it in to the authorities. Is that correct? He is the
It
guy.
would seem, it doesn't explicitly say that he did that, but it does say, or it does seem to indicate that. Like otherwise, why would there be an investigation? It says in this article that he found the bag this summer. So I thought there
Mm-hmm.
were various things thrown out about it
Oh,
being in March, but this
this
seems
summer.
relatively recent. Yeah. Um.
Well, that's not that recent.
So yeah. Well, the
It's
summer. I
November.
mean, yeah, but it could have been late
Listen,
summer, maybe September.
if I found your bag and tried to dime you out, it would be within weeks. It would not be months.
Yeah.
I just want to say, like Lincoln has
I mean,
secret
it's just kind of
microphones.
funny.
I was going in this bag. I was looking for his extra schmedium superhero shirt, and I found a bunch of illegal stuff.
It just feels weird. I mean, it's just like, it'd be like, yeah, it's like I'm out of town for several weeks and you have suspicions. So you break into my house under the guise of, I think I'm going to find several pints of vegan ice cream that I'd like to eat. And it turns out I found a bunch of dead bodies, and that all of a sudden justifies my actions. It's still like Jimmy G
Yeah, yeah.
comes out looking real sketchy with this. I understand the interest. I mean, I want to rummage through everyone's stuff, but I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
better of it every time. It this case has always seemed flimsy, and it's now taken a stranger turn, and I don't know what, trying to predict what's going to happen is beyond me, and this case is continuing to have the yakety sax song playing in the
Yeah, yeah.
background. It's getting more and more absurd, and I mean, I tend to think that this isn't going to go anywhere. The more absurd things
Right, right.
get, there's no doping products found. He had so maybe he was putting in a bunch of injections in himself, but without proof that it was there. You were calling these doping materials, and it feels a little
Mm-hmm.
premature to say that these are yeah, sure, you inject doping products, but if there were no doping things in his bag, I don't know. Like where's
Listen,
the
nope.
smoking gun here?
No, I don't think that there's a smoking gun yet. Just a whole bunch of smoke again. The reason this is so on brand with 2020 is the fact that he thought he was looking for the prototypes. That to me
Yeah.
pushes it over. Of him saying they're under such intense security that even Nike athletes can't see them. They have to go. Or is he a Nike athlete? Is Gracia a Nike
Yeah,
athlete?
yeah, he
Maybe
is.
that.
That's the thing I guess we should have mentioned. Yeah, he's a Nike athlete, right? And so I guess, we know that there's a hierarchy with Nike athletes
Mm-hmm.
of certain calibers. We know that some athletes are going to be better positioned to get new products than others. And so in that thing, I'm sure he thought, oh, I bet Makhloufi has the new
Mm-hmm.
spikes ahead of me because Makhloufi's a medal contender, Gracier's not. But
Yeah.
yeah, that seems odd that you were also a Nike athlete. Shouldn't you know? Yeah,
Well,
it's odd.
if he really wanted to set the world on fire, what he should have said is, I shouldn't have been snooping around. I went into his bag looking for the prototypes. What I saw were all these products that I was suspicious of, but the most dangerous thing in the bag was actually the spikes and what it tells us about track and field today. That's what she
I
got with,
just
I think.
This is cracking me up just reading I mean, this is a serious case, I suppose, but it's slowly seemingly getting less serious when you do the translations. And again, I don't know how accurate these are. You would think we would have technology now in 2020 to be able to have like completely foolproof translations, but this sentence I mean, it's just preposterous. Here's Gressier. um this is from his Instagram and it's being translated like once again, but let me just read this. They were not doping products, but for me, it is a doping practice to take so many products to be successful. If to be an Olympic champion, you need that, no, thank you. So he just completely contradicts himself. And here he justifies it. Quote, I'm very proud of it. I did a good deed. I try to make my sport as clean as possible by clearing all the cheaters at my humble level. For a cleaner sport, I think you have to open your mouth. Now, that seems to diminish his argument that he was looking for spikes. He's saying, at first, I was looking for the new prototypes, and then all of a sudden, he's
Yeah.
patting himself on the back, saying, I made the sport
It's a
cleaner. I'm
sting
proud
operation.
of myself.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
I don't know who's giving him this idea that he needs to go looking for the spikes. They're saying that he was looking for the spikes when he was opening up the bag. Um, I don't know if I'm trusting Jimmy G with any secrets I have going forward. And maybe he did do the sport a good thing. If Makhloufi, who has had suspicion about him, is in fact a dirty athlete and is proven as much, yes, he'll be looked at as a hero, I suppose, in the sport. But at the same time, I'm not a Jimmy G is the guy who, when we question the source of a story, it's like he's the guy we probably shouldn't be telling the story because he's going to be leaking that to the press.
I mean, if he was suspicious of it, couldn't he have just said, hey, here's this bag I found and turned it over to authorities? I'm assuming he has connections within the, track world there to hand it over, or call
One
somebody
would
from
think.
AIU. I don't think you need to go to I was just looking for the chapter flies in there, and that's why I went in there. More impactful Jimmy G. Yeah, that's the new name. We got that name from the other podcast someone wrote in there. I can't even think of the name. What are they? Viper flies? What are the
That
spikes? They're
sounds
the
right.
Viper flies, right?
Yeah, there were dragonflies at one point. Yeah, I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. More impactful Jimmy G. Garoppolo or Gressier? Go.
Well, Jimmy Garoppolo's hurt right now, and Jimmy Gressier is on Instagram, and there's been no big European cross country races recently. So both have seen their stocks tumble a bit, although some people are going to like Jimmy Gressier, more. So as it is right now, with Jimmy Garoppolo set to miss a few weeks, I think we have to update the Jimmy G power rankings a bit here. I do want to read one more line from the story. Again, this is from his Instagram. It is being translated, but this is comical if this is exactly how it's supposed to be read. I am not saying that Makhloufi cheated. I do not know. In any case, he has cheating practices. Okay.
Interesting.
That's bold. I'm not saying he cheated, but I'm saying he cheated. Like, what? What is that?
I'm thinking a lot of this. I think a lot of this is getting lost in translation. I think we need to give him a little bit more of the benefit of the doubt here, but it's a fun exercise to read it from that perspective. The whole thing is just so crazy. It's obviously serious at its core, but this story is just now completely wild. I have a couple emails that we got to. Do you want to read those on today's show?
Yeah. Yes, I'm continuing to read French to English stories here, but yeah, go ahead.
You can keep going if you want. No, we just got a couple here that I want to run through. First, we keep getting emails about D2 and D3. Do you have anything to report on that?
Do I have anything to report? I don't. It's November. I don't know what in November, and they haven't really had much cross country. Maybe a conference meet here, conference meet there, but I don't know if they're planning on making up their championships in the fall like Division 1. I don't think so, but I
Mhm.
understand the unrest because D1 is
Mhm.
seeming to have some momentum behind it, and D2 and D3 don't have that to match it. So I don't.
Got one here from Kevin, who has a great name. Said wants to hear
Right.
more about the conference recaps. He wants an episode on each conference because we have plenty of
Oh
time.
wow.
And true, we do. We'll be so Gordon is going to do his rankings. So with the rankings, we'll dive in anymore, or we'll dive in even more. Excuse me. You didn't get a chance to weigh in. Did you? Did you have any thoughts, opinions on the conference meets? Gordon and I did the recap for that.
Yeah, I was impressed by the Iowa State runner whose name was it Wesley Kiptoo? What's his first name? Yeah,
Yep.
Wesley.
Yep.
I'm impressed by him. I mean, the times, I know we're not supposed to talk about times in cross country, but the times were absurdly fast, and he ran 22:30 or something. Again, who cares? It could have been 7.5K. You never know. But more and more proof is now we have a bigger sample size of saying he is like a legit dude.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the results of the team race, yeah, it looks like Oklahoma State and Iowa State are both really good teams and have a shot to get on the podium. I'm not a believer that either team has an actual shot at a national title. I don't think they run deep enough, but you have to obviously look at Oklahoma State. They won this meet. That's a good change of pace for them after losing it 3 years in a row. And Nationals is on their home course, and it's a unique course. So you figure they have an outside puncher's shot. I don't tend to think that they will, but momentum is certainly building. Now they got to maintain that between now and the next cross country meet, which is in March. Um, Otherwise, yeah, Nagoose, I think he validated himself as a top 10 threat. On the women's side, I mean, NC State wins ACCs without several of their top runners. Top runners you would think at least have pedigree for those freshmen, Starlipper and Kalen Tui. Everything mostly went to form for me. I looked at the Kip2 athlete from Iowa State, and I'm continuing to keep an eye on him and believing the hype around him, I suppose.
Yeah, he ran really confidently. Gordon and I talked about that
Mm-hmm.
when we recapped it, or we're talking about the winners and the losers. He ran
Mm-hmm.
from the front and just grinded everybody down. And
Mm-hmm.
Isai Rodriguez stuck with him for a little bit, but those are big margins. Anything on the women's side?
Well, that's what I said. I mean, in of the women's side of Big 12, because
Individually. Yeah.
and well, you have to remind me who won ACCs on the women's side individually. I was more focused on the team
Uh,
team side of things,
Dominic
but I gotta.
Claremonti of NC State. Dominic Claremonti of NC State won, and then Mercy Chilang got
Yeah,
one
okay,
SECs. Yeah.
okay. I mean, big for our Mercy Chilangat rankings. Yeah, listen. I mean, NC State is loaded. They're loaded. It doesn't like necessarily reflect that in the results. Just you had slight disappointments from Kelsey Camille, who doesn't seem to be on her normal level. But I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
put 3 in the top 7, and they easily could have put 5 in the top 10 if they were fully stocked, right? So
Yeah.
I think this is right in line with what you would expect from NC State. This meet it doesn't even necessarily indicate how strong they can be in March. I to me they're still, to my eyes, the NCAA favorite heading into a meet that's still 4 months away. I mean, it's tough to try to like extrapolate things from November to March, but when they add those 2 star freshmen and you assume healthy and you assume, okay, they're acclimated to the system, they kind of get this advantage of just training during this soft fall schedule. I think
Yeah.
this is a group, when you talk about the senior leadership up front, that is going to be not impossible, but really, really tough to beat. When an All-American in Kelsey Camille right now is your 5th runner, and you have 2 absolute blue chip freshmen still yet to run, they're going to be hard to beat if they're anywhere close to full strength.
Mm-hmm. We got one here on the topic of the state of North Carolina and women's cross country, but not the Wolfpack, the Tar Heels. Joe writes in. He said he's listening to the pod with Lincoln and Gordon about the future of UNC women's XC. Just wanted to call your attention to one of their freshmen, Sarah Trainer. She came 15th in the UNC NC State Wake Forest meet. She's a great all-around runner, but I think you'll start to hear from her come track season. Her best event in high school was the 2K steeple, where she holds the national high school record with a time of 6:29, has an 800 PR of 2:08.
Yeah.
So just wants to put her on the radar. UNC, Bryn Brown, Sydney Massarelli, they're gonna be loaded. The balance of power is shifting to the state of North Carolina for the next couple of years in women's cross country. It's remarkable.
Yeah, that's the power of superstar coaches, right? I mean, NC State's been building for quite a long time there with Haynes, but
Mhm.
with just Chris Miltenberg going out to North Carolina, you're seeing that. That said, UNC did not have that good of a meet over the weekend. They surely wanted better than 5th place and a tie with Notre Dame, who finished 6th. They could have finished as bad as 7th, or excuse me, at 6th. They certainly had to have wanted more than that. But yeah, they're getting some superstars coming in. That's the power again of having an A-list coach, a guy who was at Stanford, succeeded at Stanford, being there. You're going to start to get the Sidney Massarelli, the Bryn Browns. They've got a bright future, and it's funny to see cross country just shift so dramatically. Where it was, we weren't talking about North Carolina. NC State the last couple of years has been that team that's like the trendy up and coming team. Well, now they're finally here, and it's crazy that they're going to have an in-state rival. That's just was not anything we've, North Carolina on the women's side in cross country has not been relevant win since Shalane Flanagan. I mean, it's I don't know when they've had a competitive team last as far as the national stage. They're not there yet, but they soon will be. It's crazy.
Gordon and I were talking about this in the context of recruiting. How many does it take to get your program rolling? How many blue chippers does it take? And you get someone like Brown and Massarelli who could be All-Americans right away, and then you're immediately in the mix because you put them around some upperclassmen or some transfers, some grad transfers, even some established runners, and you got yourself a squad there. It doesn't take much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think that's what it's exactly what we're seeing out of the in-state rival, NC State. So it's going to be fun. I mean, NC State will have to replace the seniors that they're going to lose. So so if you're looking at farm system,
season doesn't count.
Yeah. Oh, that's right.
Count. Oh, you mean in March?
You're looking
March.
You're right. No, you're right. With the seniors, I guess they could technically come back. Although I feel like the evidence is there that a lot of people are just going to graduate even if they have eligibility back. I mean, how many people are going to come back just for cross country? I don't know. Maybe they will. But if you're looking long term, who has the better farm system right now? I'm liking UNC, Kevin. I put them atop the minor league ranking system. I like what they have coming up from low A and high
A. They both have options moving forward. We got another one here from Kurt on the topic of NCAA. In Arkansas specifically, he's talking about how Lance Harder was on. Oh, he was on Beneath the Grandstand. That's right. And he's said that they concentrate on indoor and outdoor. He said they use XC to get ready for indoor and indoor to get ready for outdoor. However, the Hogs also have Izzo, Clark, Villione, Warner back, I think, so they can afford to have some kids concentrating on cross country. Gordon and I have given our thoughts on this. I don't know if you've weighed in. How would you handle that indoor 2 days later cross country championship, or that just those 3 months? How would you handle it?
I would, try to rest your athletes as much at this time of year, get them set for that. I think they're going to be really incentivized to try to do both, right, as best they can, because they have. Isn't Arkansas hosting nationals indoors?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, they can't just sit out their distance athletes. They're not going to do that. That would be crazy. I would think if I was a coach, even if cross country is a bigger deal to your distance athletes, I would be much more likely to say, this is a strange cross country thing. We'll just worry about cross country next fall. Put our athletes, let's focus on indoors if it can happen. It's on your home. If you have any chance of building up, I mean, Arkansas has a reputation as far as track dating back years and years and years, but you're not going to, if getting out a crowd, if that's even possible in March, probably it still isn't. But if getting any excitement on the campus about track and field, about the sport is something you're interested in, then you are going to put your athletes in position to be on campus and competing at a national championship in your building. So I would lean more towards focusing on the indoor championships and then trying to figure out what you can do in cross country. That's my take. I don't know if I think it's always going to come down to what's more important to your program. And I think track is always more important. And I think when it's especially when it's on campus, when it's in your building.
Well, but if indoor is first, you could do indoor and then run cross.
No, that's what I'm saying. But I mean, you're going to have to still hedge your athlete. I mean, you can't have somebody running the 5K and then coming back 2 days later and running a 6K. That's going to be tough. I mean, I guess you could, but
why not? I watched Alyosha run a 5K and a steeple like 20 minutes apart in 130 degrees in Austin, Texas. You can do anything.
Yeah, and she fell apart in the 5,000. She was like 8th in the 5,000. It was just
gets you a point. That's a point. That's all American status.
Yeah. I mean, is it going to be possible? Yes. It's just not going to be. It's obviously not going to be optimal for cross country. If they do this, if they really try to go close to all in and cross on track. Well, we're going to have very, very limited expectations of them in cross country, but I think they're going to have to go for it on the track more so than cross country, simply because they're hosting the meet.
Yeah. Also, if we gamed it out right now and we did a form chart of the 16 people who are going to make it into the indoor championships, and then contrasted that with who's in the team race for cross country, it's not going to be that big of a list. Like the Arkansas men are definitely going to be impacted. But the Arkansas women won't, because there's a good chance that none of those women are going to make it to the meet. Lauren Gregory has done it before, so she could. But there's not a huge list. Kaladi would be on that list, of course. Grijalva on the men's side would be on the list. Obviously, Wesley Kiptoo would be on that list. But, I mean, Iowa State, you think, okay, well, the team race, they have a solid team and they can make it. But they're not in it with a solid chance to take the top spot. Yeah. So you'd probably say, hey, go try to win an NCAA indoor title, and then 2 days later come out and run a 10K and see how it goes. I think that's the approach that we'll see from a lot of these teams. I think you're going to see a lot of doubling. I think the biggest challenge is going to be in the months before that, trying to get the qualifying times or meet the qualifying standards, whatever they may be. And that's going to be a little bit difficult. But I think the best people will rise to the top and they'll be able to handle it. Because say Kaladi does the 3K, 5K double, and then she goes to Stillwater and tries to run cross. Even if she has a horrible day, what's she finishing? Well, what's she finishing even 15th? If she has a horrible day? 10th? Yeah, exactly.
15th, I think.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the floor. I mean, you'd like to think, oh, this is going to be a great equalizer, and maybe it will bring some more people into the equation. But the good people are still going to be the good people. That's why they're able to double and win 2 titles with only a day apart.
I don't know. I think we should keep this system going forward. I think we should have cross-country championships and indoor championships within the same 3-day period. That seems smart to me. I like it.
Well, I think outdoors should be 2 days after indoors. Or sorry, 2 days after cross-country.
There you go. Just have them all back to back to back. I mean, let's just get it all over with, and then we can. No, I'm just kidding. I don't understand why we couldn't separate this by like a week, but I'm just the guy over here trying to get the U.S. election to be a popular vote. Most votes win type of situation. I'm the crazy guy over here. I just who knows.
Wait to hear my tiebreaker take. Wait to hear my cross country tiebreaker take. I kind of like that it's going to be in close proximity because it feels like it's part of the same meet, and that seems a little more feasible.
They should bring them together. They should. Yeah, and they should have a combined point total. I mean, Gordon will, but nobody else seems to be on this. But like the combined massive running Palooza weekend winner, championship trophy winner. They should have that. Like Arkansas won the indoor, the track and field cross country title for the year in 3 days.
Yeah, I think this is something Gordon will definitely do. He's going to be gaming out all the situations, all the permutations. But those are all the emails, Lincoln.
I we knew coming in this was going to be a shortened episode. And that we're living up to that billing. Gordon has sent us his apology text. It's become a frequent thing. I'm not sure what he's up to. I mean, we all know he stays up later than we do. He doesn't have children, and who knows what he's doing on the internet. posting on Sixers Reddit. Yeah. But he's having real trouble recently waking up for the 9 o'clock show. It's tough. So we'll try to get him up and alert. And I don't know. He needs to get one of those alarms that shakes your bed. But I don't know. He always says he forgets to set an alarm or missed his alarm. I'm just trying to figure out if that's genuine. Is he actually missing his alarm, or is he just like, well, maybe I'll wake up at 8:59, but
if I don't, what's the worst that can happen? Well, it's going to be you and him tomorrow, and then me and you again on Friday to close out the week. Man, so a lot of Lincoln for people.
A lot of well, I took a couple days off, so it happens. All right, well that'll do it for us. We will be back tomorrow, or at least I will be back tomorrow to talk hopefully more about Jimmy Gressier, and who's looking under rocks in Algeria right now to try to find any evidence of Taoufik Makhloufi skirting the anti-doping system. Just kidding. All right, we'll be back tomorrow. See you then.